Hare Krishna, Prabhu and Mataji's, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for joining for our Gauranga Yatra Friday program. Today we are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Hrishikesha Krishna Prabhu from ISKCON Chennai. Prabhu is going to join in another couple of minutes. Meantime, we will do the Kirtan. I request Adish to do the Kirtan. Adish, over to you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Radha
आप जाओ अभी।
Thank you, Atish, for your wonderful kirtan. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for Lajavati Mataji and Vrindandi Mataji and Kavirupa Mataji for supporting Atish. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, devotees. Today we are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Hrishikesha Krishna Prabhu from ISKCON Chennai. Prabhu is a practicing devotee and serving for more than 25 years. Prabhu is the disciple of His Holiness Maha Vishnu Goswami Maharaj. The important message about Prabhu is many members in his family is practicing devotees, and one of his brother is initiated with His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, and other brother is with His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami Maharaj, thus setting an example for universal religion in their family. The families in their native village near Chennai has established Jagannath Bhajan Kudir and visits frequently for Sankirtan, preaching, and Shastra distribution to transform the villages to understand the eternal position of their existence. Prabhuji is a fine example to show us how to lead a successful Grihastha life. So today we are very fortunate, the association of His Grace Hrishikesha Krishna Prabhu. His Grace Hrishikesha Krishna Prabhu ki jai. His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, over to you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat pranams.
And Pranam.
Prabhu, am I audible, right, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Shall we start, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. We can start.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams to all the Vaishnava devotees assembled in this group. It is Srila Prabhupada's mercy and Gurudev mercy. You all given me a chance, a service to satisfy Sri Krishna and Srila Prabhupada and our Acharya Parampara. So I would like to thank His Grace Radha Keshav Prabhu. Through him, now I got the great association of you all Vaishnavas. And I should also thank His Grace Sri Ranga Prabhu. You're all really elder than me in age, in experience, and in devotion. So I'm not even a small particle, so insignificant. But this is a great opportunity to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So, in this regard, even though I don't have any qualification to speak on the Shastras, because I just started devotional service by the mercy of my beloved Gurudev. And I yet to realize or yet to practice, put into practice to become a devotee. So still as an insignificant servant, but trying to be a tangible servant of Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, and the Acharya Parampara, I would like to uh, quote a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, it's said by Sri Prahlad Maharaj. So we are following his footsteps, and with his mercy, just trying to share a shloka, even though we are, as a demon, I may be or I have to glorify Krishna for my purification. It is not selfishness, but at the same time, without purified heart, we cannot glorify or we cannot preach to others. So uh, let us just recite this beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 9th chapter, 12th shloka. तस्मादहं विगतविक्लव ईश्वरस्य सर्वात्मना महिग्रणामि यथा मनीषम् नीचो जया गुणविसर्गमनुप्रविष्टः पूयेत येन हि पुमान् अनुवर्णितेन. Prahlad Maharaj himself said that he was taken a birth in the demoniac family. But without a doubt, he said like he has to offer praise to the Lord with full endeavor, as far as our own intelligence allows. For sure, I'm not having such a greatest intelligence compared to all the Vaishnavas assembled here. But whatever I have to glorify the Lord without doubt. Why? Because anyone who has been forced by ignorance to enter the material world may be purified of material life if he offers prayers to the Lord and hears the Lord's glories. So I have been in this material world out of my own ignorance. So to come out of it, I have to pray to the Lord and I have to hear the Lord's glories. Then in any of the lifetime, I may become devotee. So with this, I would like to again thank all the assembled devotees here, especially His Grace Radha Keshav Prabhu and His Grace Sri Ranga Prabhu. Let us start with the pranam mantras and then we can recite the shloka. Today we are going to see the shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 4th chapter, 26th verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavada Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Okay. Again, Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 4th chapter, 26th verse. Um, Prabhu, I think somebody is sharing your screen. Sorry, I'm going to share my screen to showcase other details. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you. I forgot to say well ahead. Please let me know if you all could see the screen.
Yes, Prabhu, it is visible.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Uddhava Uvacha Nanu te tattva samradhya Nanu te tattva samradhya Rishihi kausharavontike Rishihi kausharavontike Sakshat Bhagavatadishto Sakshat Bhagavatadishto Martyalokam jihasatha Martyalokam jihasatha Uddavaha uvacha Uddhava said, Nanu, however, te of yourself, Tattva Samradhyaha, one who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. Rishihi, learned scholar. Kausharavaha, unto the son of Kusharu, Maitreya. Antike, staying nearby. Sakshat, directly. Bhagavata, by the personality of Godhead. Adishtaha, instructed. Martya, Martya Lokam, mortal world. Jihasatha, while quitting. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Please hear carefully that this translation and purport are very important and very beautiful. Sri Uddhava said, You may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. I am repeating this translation because this is a very nice and wonderful translation. Sri Uddhava said, You may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. Purport, please hear carefully. Although one may be well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vyatikrama or impertinently surpassing a greater personality. According to scriptural injunction, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vyatikrama, because by so doing, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, and pity, and the blessings of all the world. To be well versed in the transcendental science necessitates awareness of the techniques of spiritual science. Uddhava, being well aware of all these technicalities of transcendental science, advised Vidura to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive transcendental knowledge. Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master, but Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person. But he was well versed also because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this mortal world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vyatikrama. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interest of one's own personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Sakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakammalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpadarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna. This is very wonderful, instructive shloka. Uh, if you all see, of course, you all have been reading this chapter for quite some time, and you all know the background as well, right, Prabhus and Matajis? Like Vidura actually approaching Maitreya. That is the chapter name. But before approaching Maitreya, he was discussing with the great devotee Uddhava. So and Uddhava is also in the separation of Krishna. So he was trying to wander here and there, but while wandering, yeah, Vidura was meeting Uddhava, and while meeting with Uddhava, and Uddhava was sharing some of the informations to Vidura. While discussing, Vidura was feeling that he wants to surrender to devotee like Uddhava, because Uddhava is not only a devotee, he is a relative of Krishna also, and not only Krishna's relative relation, but also his appearance looks like Krishna. So people will be so pleasing by looking Uddhava. So naturally, Vidura attracted towards Uddhava and his qualities, and he wants to take shelter of him. That is the background. And while thinking in this way, Uddhava, he was clearly saying to Vidura that you please take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world. This is so nice, isn't it, Prabhus and Matajis? Because uh, of course, I could say that we have been in ISKCON movement for quite some years, and almost all of you would do preaching as well. But how many of us are ready to inform this statement to a person who approaches us and wants to take guidance from us? How many of us are ready to show another devotee, and instruct this new person to take shelter or guidance from another devotee? How many of us are ready? That means this shloka is not only the continuation of this Uddhava and Vidura's meeting, but also wonderful instructive point. But before going to this instructive portion, what are the different points we can derive from this shloka? We can easily understand by this statement, we can easily understand one point, that Uddhava followed Vaishnava etiquette. Isn't it, Prabhus and Matajis? Just by reading the translation, we can understand, right? He followed the Vaishnava etiquette. In general, we can say etiquette, right? So while talking about the etiquette, that is most toughest part in our life, because I don't know how many of us, while taking birth itself, we have been trained with this etiquette. That is most important. Otherwise, people like me, after so many years joining in ISKCON and trying to learn the etiquette, then it'll be a troublesome. That's where practically we are following one offense. We are doing one offense. That is what Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, in the beginning of the purport itself, right? Maryada Vyatikrama. Anyway, we will go there. But before that, this etiquette is very, very important to follow. We can understand this from Srila Prabhupada's quote. It's a excerpt from the lecture delivered during 1972, June 15th, in Srimad Bhagavatam lecture 2.3.19. Here, Srila Prabhupada quotes a shloka, Shurasya dhara nishita duratyaya. This is a famous quote. You all may know it, but reading it again would be beneficial for us. See, while shaving, of course, we use razors, and the razors are, it is very thin, but the same time very sharp. We should be very careful while doing it. You all know, right? Because may have experience, us, then immediately we will stop shaving it, right? Because we see, naturally we knew, right? Naturally we knew that if somebody hits us, then it will impact our face, right? We will get wound, some scratches will be there. So we naturally we are so cautious, careful. Same way, Prabhupada says the path of salvation is very difficult. Just as we are trying to go back to home, back to Godhead, Krishna, the path of which is very difficult. Why Prabhupada said the path of salvation is very difficult? Because it is very simple. If you want to attain salvation or to attain the lotus feet of Krishna, for sure you need a guidance. We need a guidance. So for guidance, obviously we have to physically associate with the, at least with our spiritual master or with the congregational devotees. Then this difficulty will start, because there we have so much experience, isn't it, Prabhu? Instead of this class time, meaning if I stop speaking and if I ask somebody to share your experience uh, of running this congregation, obviously we will say all the good points, but at the same time you may open up your heart that how much troubles you are all facing, right? Not only the organizer devotees, but the devotees who are participating in it, right? So it is very interesting. You cannot attain the Lord by practicing alone. That means you have to associate with the devotees. Then there will be a problem. But how to associate with the devotee without facing the problem? That is practically there is no situation like that. Then it is a very difficult. But we could see how we can do it. Right? Prabhupada says Durgam means very difficult to pass over. But little attention will save you. This is the key. Little attention. How are we missing this attention? We know, right? While coming to congregation or temple or wherever, we know that we have to put some attention. But how are we missing this attention? That is interesting point that we will see it. So here Prabhupada says a little attention such as I am passing through a very dangerous way, so I must be very careful. So our attention should always be focused on how we are executing our spiritual life. So this is the important factor we have to always consider while we are associating with any type of devotees. Let them be Kanishtadhikari, let them be Madhyamadhikari, let them be Uttamadhikari. But we should be very careful. Those who want to attain the Lord's feet, those who are practicing, everyone must understand this. Prabhu, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So this is very, very interesting point, you know. So we have to be very careful. Careful of what? Careful of following the etiquette. That is important. But today we are not going to see what are etiquettes or how many etiquettes are there. No, whether it is one or multiple. But here, Prabhupada's purport, we could understand it is very tough to follow the etiquette, right? So we are more focusing on why we could not able to follow this etiquette and what kind of etiquette we need to follow, right, to become devotee. So like in the purport, if you see Prabhu's and Mataji's first few lines, Prabhupada mentioned that one should be well versed in the transcendental science, right? But at the same time, should be careful enough to cross or to not do the offense Maryada Vyatikrama. He also mentioned Maryada Vyatikrama is impertinently surpassing a great personality, right? So it is so interesting. In this world, we have to pursue this transcendental science, isn't it? Why we want to pursue this transcendental science? See, while if not pursuing this transcendental science, we no need to follow this etiquette and all, right? If we don't want to follow the etiquette, we don't worry about the offenses because we will be like a common person. But there is a need to take up this transcendental science. Then while taking up, we have to be very careful how to follow this transcendental science. If you are not careful, then we will do offense. If you are careful, we will not do offense and we will be a joyful devotee. So then there is a need for getting the transcendental science, transcendental knowledge. Why? Because in Bhagavad Gita, you all can see my screen, right, Prabhus and Matajis. Just I have taken couple of notes, like in Bhagavad Gita 15.7, Krishna says, right, Mamai Vamso Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatanaha Mana Shashtanindriyani Prakriti Stani Karshati. He has explained in such a manner that we, the living entities, are in this conditioned world and we are part and parcel of Krishna. He is claiming, you all jivas are my part and parcel of me, right? So nobody claims throughout the Vedic literatures. If you see all the scriptures, nobody claims. Everybody shows their prowess, right? But nobody claims that we jivas are part and parcel of them or him. But Krishna is the only great personality claimed. And he said, due to conditioned life, we are struggling with very hard. That is important. Karshati. Karshati means very hard. We are struggling with, meaning struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. You all know the other five senses. The other five senses are knowledge gathering senses, right? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the touch sensation. Through them, we are getting knowledge about this world, and the mind is calculating and developing the desire. Isn't it, Prabhus and Matajis? Just by looking a house or a car, or just by seeing so many devotees gathered here, then by looking the number of participants, immediately mind will think, okay, very good, right? So I am talking to so many devotees. It is so pleasurable, right? But if I expect the same crowd the next time, if you are all not turning, then my mind will give me trouble. Why only 10 people are there? Only 15 devotees are there, right? This is an example. Like this, in your life, every second mind is calculating. That means, for sure, nobody is happy in this world, but always struggling, right? That means we jiva, out of conditioned nature or out of ignorance, we are struggling in this world. We don't know what is happiness. We don't know what is misery. Even we don't know what is misery. And we don't know we are suffering. If we say somebody while preaching, you all have some experience while preaching to some known person or unknown person, especially the rich people. If we say something that we are not this body, we are Atma, and we are suffering here, then they will look at you in something different way. Is he a normal person? Because nobody accepts that we are suffering here, right, Prabhus and Matajis? So this is the part. This is called illusion, right? So in this illusion, we are thinking like we will become happy, right? But no way. We are actually struggling very hard, right? If we want to come out of this struggling nature and we want to be in our level, right? Brahma Bhuta stage, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. We are Atma and our nature is always blissful, right? But why we are so struggling? Because in 2.15 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right? Oh, best among Arjuna, sorry, oh, best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. But here, what we can derive, we are not focusing about the liberation, eligibility of the liberation. But interesting point is that means here we are disturbed. That is what we have seen in the previous shloka. We are disturbed. But who is not disturbed by happiness and distress? This is the key. What is it? Happiness and distress perceived by mind. So interesting, right, Prabhus and Matajis? By mind. Now tell me one thing. In this material world, take any species, any type of species. Tell me that doesn't have mind and the gross body. No, right? If you take any material body, human being, animals, plants, insects, anything that has the gross body and the subtle body, especially the mind. That means when Jiva is connected with the mind and the gross body, then there is no point of happiness and distress. Meaning, there is a point of happiness and distress. We will always face it. That means we will be always disturbed. That is the point. We will always be disturbed. Right? So far, even in this congregation or any of the congregation around the world, anybody can say that after coming to this center or coming to ISKCON, right? Now I am very happy, always happy. No, right? We are facing some disturbance, but we don't know. But the interesting point is, among this disturbed condition or disturbed devotee circle, I'm saying this not to criticize anybody, but I'm saying because we are all practicing And many of us in the beginning stage, even after coming to the movement or the devotional service, we all have the disturbance. We cannot say no, right? So, but at the same time, we are doing the devotional service, chanting, Mangalarati, and preaching to others, especially preaching to others, because this preaching to others or gaining the knowledge that gives Maryada Vyatikrama offense, right? In the Bhagavad Gita 11.33, Krishna says to Arjuna, right? This is also very famous shloka. Tasmatvam uttishta yasho labasva. The fourth line is very important. Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. Right? You all know these shlokas. But an interesting point is here, this nimitta matra is like an instrument, like a big commitment towards the service. Right? So first thing, we are struggling in this material world, and due to the association with the mind and senses, we are so disturbed. And in this condition, we are starting our devotional service. You all know the meaning of Savyasachi. That means he is a great shooter, right? Shooter of arrows. Great shooter. So when we are doing devotional service, we also should be um, meaning brilliant in all the aspects, at least the aspect where we are doing service. If you are taking class, or if you are doing kirtan, if you are doing kitchen service, whatever service, you must be knowledgeable and brilliant enough to do it, right? So that means it requires gathering the knowledge, which is transcend. Be an instrument. um, Sorry, just to confirm, am I audible, Prabhus and Matajis?
Yes, Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhu. Thank you. So the interesting point is, we have started our devotional service with this background, and we want to become an instrument in the hands of Krishna. So becoming an instrument to do any type of seva requires knowledge. So now you may get some understanding why we want to get transcendental knowledge. Of course, to lead our material life also, we shouldn't say material life, but in this life, we have to gather knowledge to do all the type of activities, right? So if that is the case, what to speak of going back to Godhead? Then we must learn the transcendental science. But this is where the interesting point comes. While learning, we will be always humble, right, Prabhus and Matajis? All the elderly devotees might have experienced, because while preaching to other people, then while coming to congregation, those devotees will say, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, everything, right? And whatever the devotee says, the newcomer will do it, right? But while learning, because this is the interesting point from the material aspect, like in any subject, whether it is material or spiritual, but while learning, we will be so humble because we want to learn it. We will be so humble. But the key or the check is after learning or after reaching, because while learning, everything is new. We will be so curious to understand everything. So we will be running behind all the devotees. But after learning, after we come to know, we learn something, or at least the level of the devotee who is teaching us, right? Then it is the matter. Then the check will be there. The real test will be there. What it is? The real test will be like whether we are doing Maryada Vyatikrama offense or not. That is not based on the knowledge we gathered, but that is the attitude of how we are following the instructions or the knowledge from the transcendental science, meaning from the transcendental scriptures, right? So it's so wonderful that after hearing so much of the Vedic knowledge, still we are doing the I'm not saying any particular person, but this topic is so general. So I'm saying we, right? Please don't be offended, or don't take it in a negative way. So the interesting point is, we may ask, right, even to ourselves, why I am doing this offense? Or we might know, right, while coming to this center, being a new person, I have been like so humble, right? Even the organizers or any other devotees, if somebody is so humble to us, my Gurudev said, like, he used to say, see, we like the devotees or any person, right, who is so humble to us, but we don't be humble like them. We don't want to be humble, but we want others to be humble. So that is the expectation of our mind, right? But while learning this great science, we should always remember, we haven't neglected or just shed away our qualities, right? Three modes of material nature, right? We are still, even while talking now, if I am not aligned with the scriptures, with the guru, sadhu, shastra, then I will be in the under the modes. Even while listening, you all, if you are not attentive, meaning, if you are not serious enough to go back to Godhead, then you will be listening under the modes. So we should be very careful to understand one thing, that the reason for doing Maryada Vyatikrama, meaning we are neglecting the devotees, whatever be the devotee, like elder than or younger than or equal to us. But if we think that we know better than them, then that is called Maryada Vyatikrama, right? Even the elder devotees might have experienced. Somebody in the congregation may ask doubt, then we may answer. Then immediately in the group, one devotee will pitch in and he will add more points. He will take another class for that question. So we may think that because I know, at least I have learned it, or I know better than the speaker, or I should give proper answer to that question. The Prabhuji who is taking class doesn't give the proper answer, so I must give it. We have so many angles, right? But again, we don't know the subtle nature, that without knowing intentionally or unintentionally, we are doing this offense. Like Prabhupada mentioned the word, impertinently surpassing a greater devotee personality, right? So the reasons for it, for that doing offense is, one of the reason is conditioned state. We should remember one thing in Bhagavad Gita 14.5. Krishna says, right, this material nature consists of three modes: goodness, patience, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with the nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. This is the first defect, right? Because we are coming to this material world. Krishna never sent us. It is because of our desire we reached. Krishna has sent us based on our desire, not because of his desire, right? So when we reach this material world, we are conditioned by these modes, right? This condition by these modes is very important to understand, because suppose, Prabhuji told me that this group have two links, right? One is this Zoom link, another one is like YouTube live link. Zoom link may have certain limits, right? 100 people or some count. Beyond that, the devotees has to join in the YouTube link, right? So consider this as an example. Like when we are joining the class, if the limit is reached in the Zoom, obviously I have to accept it, and I have to go to YouTube to listen the lecture, right? I cannot fight, right? Prabhuji, 100 people joined ahead of me, so remove somebody else and make me in, right? We cannot say. We have to follow that, meaning we are conditioned by that situation. You cannot simply say, coming to my home, and you cannot change everything. If my room is 10 by 12, you have to accept that situation, right? So this material world is like that. When jiva comes in, then material world, the conditioned, meaning the three modes of material nature, actually controls us. Controls us. We are not independent personality, right? The conditioned, these modes are conditioning us. The famous shloka is there in 3.27, isn't it, Prabhus and Matajis? 327. So this leads another point, right? In this conditioned nature, we don't know what we are doing, right? So even while practicing our sadhana, right, and in the beginning, we have this conditioned nature. That's why after chanting so many years, we are not getting the taste, right? So this is the important point. So this conditioned nature leads to another flaw, that is kartaham, right? I am the doer. In 327, Krishna says, right? Prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities. This is so interesting, right, Prabhus and Mataji? While preaching, like Uddhava, we never say, right, Prabhuji, you may go to another congregation, right? They are also doing that. Place is very near to your house. Why are you coming so long to this congregation? You may take association to there. We never say, right? Because in our subtle nature, we have this tendency. We are the doer. That means I am cultivating this devotee, right? I am the doer. I am talking. He is my colleague. I am talking to him. Even what to speak of showing other centers. Just think, in the same center, if I bring a new person, if somebody else, any senior devotee would talk to him, I will introduce her. But at the same time, I will be very cautious, careful, not to cross me, right? My colleague shouldn't cross me and take association with other devotees. Apparently he may go and talk to them, but I will follow up, right? What he has said, what kind of knowledge you have gathered. Okay, you have to follow this and that. In the name of guidance, we don't know, in a subtle level, we knew, meaning we are doing. So we are thinking that we are the doers, right? So this is another flaw that makes the offense maryada vyatikrama, right? So I'm just giving some examples. So it may fit, or at times you may just take up from your own example, meaning from your own life, right? Here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level, right? Maybe looks like same, but the platform is so different. Gulf of difference is there. What is the difference? The difference in the consciousness, the developed consciousness, that matters. You are all working in a company, you are also earning, but your consciousness says that this is for livelihood, not for sense gratification. But the karmi, he may point out, hey, you are also coming and working like me. But how can you say that you are not doing it for sense gratification? Even to receive our spiritual master, we may use the first class car. For that, some devotee has to buy it, right? He has to spend the money. But apparently, you cannot understand the attitude of the devotee. Many a times, this is the problem. Like, without understanding other devotees, we may think, by speculating, we may think, okay, he may be a senior devotee, but he is not understanding the present situation, right? We will compare ourselves with our devotee, other devotees. But the consciousness level is always different. Nobody is equal in this world. So this gap we should understand. This gulf of difference at the consciousness level should be understood. You cannot understand by action, but just by associating with the devotees, we may try to understand some extent, but up to 100% we cannot. That's why we should be very careful. This Maryada Vyatikrama offense, right? So this is all because of our tendency to satisfy the senses. So since gratification is higher, right, we have forgotten our relationship with the Krishna. That is why we have these kind of flaws, right? Kartaham. And we came to this material world conditioned by the three modes of material nature, the conditioned nature, and that leads to kartaham, meaning I am the doer aspect. And this is leading to enviousness. This enviousness is so subtle. Once my dear god brother, very senior devotee, you might have heard his name, is Grace Devikanandan Prabhu. He is the senior most disciple of my beloved Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj. So once he was asking, Gurudev, actually speaking, I haven't seen Krishna. Then how can I be envious of him? If I see somebody, if I associate with somebody, then I may have some enviousness. That is logically correct. But so far we haven't I haven't seen Krishna, right? And I haven't associated with him, right? So how can I have envious of him? Then immediately Gurudev said, now the interesting point is, are you following Bhagavad Gita instructions? Then Prabhuji said, no. If you are not following the instruction, that means you have enviousness. That enviousness is so subtle that you don't understand it. So if we are not following somebody's instruction, that means we are envious of him, right? That is the major point. This is one of the important flaw in us. In us, in the sense, these are not the flaws of Jiva. Jiva is so pure like rain, but after touching the earth, it becomes muddy, right? After touching this material world, we are thinking all these qualities are ours. But actually speaking, as a Jiva, we are so pure even now, but we've forgotten that, right? So this enviousness nature, Krishna said in 16th chapter 18th verse, right? He said, out of false ego we are conditioned, and that makes us to understand that we are the doer. And that leads, how are you thinking that you are the doer? Because we have strength, pride, lust, and anger, and these leads to enviousness. Even though we haven't seen Krishna, even though we haven't seen, just take an example of any news, right? Somebody in any of the sports or politics, if somebody gets familiarity, or some prize or something, some gift or whatever, something, somebody gets it, while reading that news, sometimes we hate it, right? Even we don't know that person, we don't know his quality, his ability, but obviously we will comment. See, he might have get it because of he might have give some bribe, right? We may comment. This is called enviousness, and we have this enviousness. All these qualities never vanished from us while doing our sadhana bhakti, right? So this enviousness leads just to nearby devotees and unknown devotees or any common person. And ultimately we have this enviousness towards Krishna also. That is why we are not surrendering to him immediately. Srila Prabhupada said, right, to become a devotee, how much time it requires? Just a second. But so far, I'm just saying from my example, I'm not saying this point to you all, but it took so many years, but never become a devotee. That means not ready to follow the instructions, not ready to shut this sense gratification. That means I have all these material qualities in a subtle level. You may not see it apparently, right? But these are the qualities blocking and also making to do this offense, maryada vyatikrama. And another interesting flaw is name and fame. This is so interesting, isn't it, Prabhus and Matajis? Like you also experienced, like me, other devotees would invite you for giving lecture. Then after giving the lecture, obviously the devotees would appreciate you, right? Then we will be so happy in our heart. Also, not only the lecture, these are some prominent services, right? If somebody praises, you have done so much kirtan, Even one devotee appreciated the group of devotees who have done the kirtan, right? While joining, I have heard that kirtan. It is so nice. Really, it is so nice, right? But while appreciating, how are we going to take it? So this is also a subtle level, name and fame, right? And this name and fame, it is very hard, very tough to leave, because while doing services which are prominent, like in the drama or in giving lecture, doing kirtan, leading anything, right? So obviously all devotees would come and meet you for appreciation or to get guidance. Obviously, then we will get this name and fame. We'll be so happy. And this is very interesting point connected with the sattva guna. In Bhagavad Gita 14.6, Krishna says, right, O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. It is so interesting, isn't it, Prabhus and Matajis? While reading this translation, you can see the contradiction. It frees one from all sinful reactions. And while ending the statement, you could see it is also making us to conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. See how tricky situation is it, right? You have to learn transcendental knowledge to come out of all these miseries, right, from this material world. But while to learn this transcendental knowledge, all the jivas must be in sattva guna to learn it. If we are in passion, if we are in tamoguna, we may be in this what do you call do some devotional service, but you won't get much happiness, you won't receive much knowledge. But to receive the transcendental knowledge, we have to be in sattva guna. That is why we are making tilaks, wearing white kurtas, washed kurtas, right? Taking prashadam, that too neatly cooked and quickly taken within 3 hours of time. We have so many examples, right? In our day-to-day life, we are following waking up in the early morning, right? Brahma muhurta. Why? Those are making the sattva guna in our life. For what? To learn, to practice this transcendental knowledge. We have seen that it is important to follow the transcendental knowledge, because we have to come out from this body. We have to be in the Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma stage. Okay, but another interesting point is it is binding, the same Sattva Guna binding us in this material world. Then how can we follow this devotional service? How can we execute it? Because without Sattva Guna, you cannot do it. In Sattva Guna, it will bind us. But there is a slight difference. That is, the difference is, what is the purpose behind it? The attitude of our consciousness, right? For whom, like to whom, meaning for whose pleasure we are doing this. I'm gathering this knowledge for the pleasure of Krishna. If we redirect to Krishna, then this Sattva Guna helps us to come out without doing any offense. You all know, right, Prabhus and Matajis? Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, Prabhupada never asked us to learn Sanskrit. He never asked us to learn any instruments to do kirtan. He simply asked us to do devotional service. That means whatever ability we have in this Janma, you simply take it and do it for the pleasure of the Lord. If you have the ability to play Mridanga, you please continue it. But we don't want to become professional, right? Even reciting shlokas, we need to know Sanskrit, but some extent, just for the pronunciation sake, because Prabhupada have given everything. We don't want to learn the meaning of Tatra, Sattvam, Nirmalatvat by our own, by reading the Sanskrit. Prabhupada have already provided everything, right? So we just want to understand why Prabhupada has given this meaning for this Sanskrit word. That's enough, because we don't have time. We don't have time. We have to wind up. We have to go back. That requires this quick process. That means whatever ability I have, Let me put it in the devotional service. That's it. Not everybody should become preacher, not everybody should become cook for the devotees, not everybody should become mridanga player or kirtaniya. No, whatever chance, whatever service we are getting, that's what Krishna said, right, to Arjuna 11:33, right? Nimitta matram means you should be ready for any service, whatever you have the ability, right? You should be ready. If Krishna asks you to cook, do it. Let it let this is Krishna's let Krishna takes care of the taste and everything, but we should be ready. That is called nimitta matram, right? For that sake, we want to use our ability, but we should not be running behind the name and fame, because of this name and fame we will go deep in one particular service, right? We will be so stick to that. If somebody asks you to take up any cooking service, immediately we will say, no, I have a kirtan, I have to do. Of course, if somebody, the organizer will ask you to do kirtan, that is good. But the same organizer asks you to do some other service, even if we don't know that, let us go and learn it, right? But we are so attached to that service. Why we are so attached? You would have experienced, some devotees would say, no, I am so attached, meaning they won't say attached, but people will say, devotees will say that no Prabhuji, I like this service, I want to do this service, okay, let me do this, please assign this service to somebody else, right? Why? Because this is also a subtle nature, that we are so attached to that service that gives name and fame. That's why we are not ready to shake that meaning that attitude. Our attitude should be a devotee, meaning to do any type of service to the pleasure of, for the pleasure of Krishna and our acharyas. But here internally we are choosing the services that pleases us, in the name of that, Prabhu, I knew this service alone, I may be capable to this to do this service. I have such a I have less ability, Prabhu, that's why I'm doing this service. No, these are all subtle nature. That is why without knowing we are doing maryada vyatikrama, right? We are just transgressing the devotees, right? We are not giving proper respect to the devotees. That is why in the excerpts, the I have just taken the excerpts from the purport. Prabhupada said, like, even the difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. If you're doing same service for a long time, obviously everybody will think that we are the best, we are doing the best service, and I am the better than other devotees. In this way he becomes conditioned. Prabhupada also given the examples as scientists and philosophers. For preaching purpose we may pinpoint others, right? Scientists, philosophers, but the Krishna's creation is these two eyes are looking at others. While preaching, always we look at the fault of others, not ours. When you show your hand, finger point, right? Index points are pointing this finger to somebody else, right? You are showing one finger to others, but the three fingers showing us. My Gurudev used to say this: when you are pinpointing others, then you should always remember that three fingers, one finger is showing others, but three fingers are showing you. That means you have to improve yourself. That's why Prabhus and Matajis, this especially our Vedic literatures are for our practice, meaning behavioral change. We have to change our behavior. We have to change. It will change automatically while chanting, while hearing, while associating with the devotees. Yes, that will be there, because the nama has its own potency, but it will take on its own time. Because how much time we are putting effort for this, how much conscious how consciously we are doing this. So based on this, this will automatically happen. But in our emergency case, we have to voluntarily change. We have to inform our mind, no, he is a senior devotee, you should obey. Let it be, we will talk to him later. why he said like that, why he behaved like that, why he organized in such a way. So we shouldn't say or burst out in front of everyone. Should be careful in our attitude, right? And as I mentioned, all these things has the root cause attachment, whether it is a service, whether it is in the official work, in our family work, anything. This attachment, what is that attachment? Our own sense pleasure. Actually we are doing offenses because we are always concentrating whether it will give pleasure for me, whether it is pleasing me. Other devotees activities, see, just take Srila Prabhupada. He always is our example, right? Prabhus and Matajis, like he has tolerated all the devotees. One morning walk, while Prabhupada was walking, other devotees were following Prabhupada, and for the 10 minutes each devotee complained about other devotee. Then Prabhupada stopped and turned back. He was calm and simply said, if I see the same thing from you all, you wouldn't be like this today. That means in this material world, every living entity is conditioned by three material modes. So we have to tolerate each other to do devotional service, right? Alone we cannot do it, because alone we cannot mercy. Once my elder brother asked His Holiness Banuswami Maharaj, if I come to congregations, there are a lot of politics, but I'm very so good in reading hours and hours in my house. So is it fine to continue that? Then immediately Maharaj said, no, because in your house you will read alone. You may spend a good time, you may understand well, but you will not get mercy, because just understanding doesn't mean whatever you read you understand some points. That is not understanding. While practicing it, you have to face all the consequences. Then how we are behaving, right? How we are tolerating each other, actually that is attracting Krishna. That is attracting Krishna. Then from Krishna we will get mercy. So that is the point. And what is blocking from that? This attachment. We are contemplating the objects of the senses, right? While contemplating, we are developing the attachment. Next Sunday, if I go there, immediately I will come contemplate, right? Because the devotees will invite me, Hare Krishna Prabhu, and some devotees will immediately say, this Prabhuji is taking a very nice class, so you have to listen. While hearing that, we will think, okay, very nice, this devotee is appreciating me. That obviously that gives pleasure, because we haven't crossed these three material modes. So if I think now today a Friday, coming Sunday, if I go to our temple, if non-devotees, while crossing, if they haven't say Hare Krishna Prabhu, immediately my mind will be disturbed, because I'm so attached of the appreciation words of others, and at least from non devotees, right? Then I will be so morosed. So this attachment, right? I am developing attachment in each and everything. My only attachment should be for the pleasure of the Lord, not for my own pleasure. I should not keep myself in the center of each and every service, whether it is our household activities, official work, or in the service in temple. All the way we have to always think about Krishna's satisfaction. But here we are always keeping ourselves in the center, and because of that we are developing the attachment. Such attachment obviously leads meaning develops lust, because always we expect, always we overthink, right? That will never meet. And that not meeting conditions, right, where we will become angry, our anger arises. Immediately we will think, Haribol, while crossing, don't you know that you should say Hare Krishna to other devotees? Why you are not doing? We may say in front of the devotee, or interestingly, technically, we will do it in the class. While taking, we will polishly say, see, all Acharya said we have to be like what do you call, Vaishnavas should respect other Vaishnavas. But are we doing that? That is the question. As I said, like we will always happy while seeing humble devotee, but we will not be humble to others. So this is the problem, right? And while having such a attachment, the anger arises, right? Because always we are not getting all these sophisticated things. So from anger, we will be deluded, right? And from deluded situation, our memory will be lost, and we will fight with the devotee who actually cultivated us, or to our own spiritual master, right? We will take advantage from that. I heard from one of the lecture, His Holiness Bhaktivikas Maharaj mentioned that even my own disciples are threatening me. While hearing that statement, I was so astonished. How come it will happen? But over the period, I understood, because these devotees are not meeting my level, right? My level of understanding, my level of consciousness, because I too learned something. I too read. See, if I have put so much PPT work, so I may think I'm just greater than all these devotees. I need to inspire, or I need to attract all these devotees, right? This will be there in our subtle mind. Then if that is not met, obviously we will fight with each other. Then that bewilderment makes lose my temper and lose everything that I may not know to whom I am fighting with. We have experienced, all of us experienced in our family life, in our official, in our congregation also. This is all the flaws, right? Causes for Maryada Vyatikrama. Srila Prabhupada mentioned these things in the purport, the first half of the purport, right? He will also mention that the devotee will be doomed out if he is doing this Maryada Vyatikrama offense. We can see a couple of examples. One is Daksha, right? You all know that Daksha, right? He has done first yajna. In that yajna, Daksha, while coming into it, he is also a great person, but because he misunderstood that Lord Shiva is lesser than him, because he knew that being Prajapati, Lord Shiva is also a Prajapati, and everybody came from the same personality, Lord Brahma. So he thought, in Bhagavatam says in 4 to 8 and 4 to 9, you could read it, right? So just while entering, Bhagavatam says he has such a effulgence. That's why all the assembled devotees stood up and they greeted him by folding their hands and they invited. See how wonderful the situation is. But Lord Brahma, being a father, he didn't stand, and Lord Shiva is also a great personality. He didn't stand. But Daksha, out of enviousness, he was thinking and he was saying to the assembled devotees, right? Right? He said, in the translation, you could see in the end, the first one, he began to speak very strongly against Lord Shiva because he thought Lord Shiva is lesser than him because son in law, right? That is the problem. And in the next shloka, it is so interesting. He said, I do not speak out of ignorance or envy. If we don't have ignorance or envious of other people, then why are we talking about others? So we are talking about others in the sense we have that envious nature. That is subtle. That is subtle point. He said, right, to all the Brahmanas, all the assembled devotees, he said, like, I am going to talk about Lord Shiva. Not out of enviousness, not out of ignorance, but he is full of enviousness. He is in full of ignorant. He didn't know the position of Lord Shiva. That's why he made all the offenses. You know from Bhagavatam, all the remaining portions, that finally he was killed, right? And then, but Lord Shiva was not disturbed. Lord Shiva was not disturbed because he saw Paramatma in Daksha's heart and he gave the respect. But Daksha was not in a position to understand all these things, right? So, this is a classic example from Bhagavatam that after some time, Lord Brahma pacified Lord Shiva and after pacification, he got goat's head. See the situation, how troublesome it is. The result is not so happy. Even after coming of right after the life has come, but still he got the goat's head. What is the use? Got a good human body, but he lost it out of enviousness. That Maryada Vyatikrama, right? And another interesting example from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, sorry, Antya Leela, chapter 7. Vallabha Bhatta meets Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is also a classic example. Like in that whole chapter, if you read it, Prabhus and Matajis, you will see from the very beginning itself, Vallabha Bhatta was trying to teach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees and disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was saying to Mahaprabhu that you are doing all these preaching activities by the mercy of Krishna. This is correct. This point is correct. But he mentioned in the way that Lord Krishna is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a devotee of Lord Krishna, not as Krishna himself. That was the understanding of Vallabha Bhatta, right? And after some time, while he was informing because of Krishna's mercy, you are doing this service. Immediately, Mahaprabhu, in a humble way, he refuted by quoting other devotees and disciples how they are doing devotional service, from them how he learned. Right? This is one point. And the second point, Vallabha Bhatta was seeing Mahaprabhu's dance in the Radhayatra. And while looking at his dance, he understood, oh, he is Krishna himself. He is not different from Krishna. He is not just like a normal servant of Krishna. He is Krishna himself. So in the second chance, he got this information. But after getting this information, still he had a thought like he wants to teach all this Bhagavatam to great personality like Advaita Acharya and others, right? And today being the great day, the most auspicious day, the appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya, we are just discussing about this point, right? Because of his mercy we are discussing. And while see the interesting point, while talking to Advaita Acharya, he is questioning, see, we are all Prakriti, Krishna's Prakriti, female, feminine, right? And how can a wife can say the names of husband? Then immediately Advaita Acharyas not answering to the question, but he just redirected to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who happened to be there. This is the etiquette. Advaita Acharya is a great personality. He actually brought Krishna here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here. But he didn't answer, but he said, in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you should ask Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu answered, no, being a chaste wife, she has to 100%, right? She has to follow the instruction of the husband 100%. If Krishna asked you to chant his name, how can I not chant his names? That's why we are chanting Krishna's name. So he gave again and the answers. But still, Vallabha Bhatta has in his mind the same mood, and he quoted this 113, 14, 32, 33, 34. You could see, like finally he reached a point that he came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he said, I have a best commentary than Sridhara Swami. So this is the point, Maryada Vyatikrama. After gaining this transcendental knowledge, but we are always trying to get pleasure for us. That is why we are comparing with the devotees, right? And while comparing, he made a statement. I refuted all the explanation of Sridhara Swami. Mine is best. Whatever Sridhara Swami says, right, explained. That is based on the situations he is talking. Otherwise, there is no inconsistency. There is no proper thing. That's why Prabhupada always wants us, don't run behind the professionalism. Just use your ability in the service. That's enough. You will go back to Godhead. It is not that you have to learn and learn each and everything 100% to do devotion service. No way. That is not required. That is not our criteria here, right? And immediately Mahaprabhu said, "You have dared criticize Sridhara Swami, right? And you have begun your own commentary. Then it is not authorized because you are not following the authority." That's why Mahaprabhu himself said, Sridhara Swami is the spiritual master of entire world and he is my spiritual master. He is making Sridhara Swami as the authorized person and declining um, Vallabha Bhatta. Whatever you have done, it is because of false pride, right? So, devotees, Prabhus and Matajis, this is the point. We have all this subtle nature. We have to come out of it. Then what is the solution for that? The ultimate solution is so interesting. Like Narada Muni informed Vyasadev in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 6th chapter, 7th shloka. This is a beautiful shloka. We have to remember always. This is the ultimate solution for all the problems. Not only Maryada Vityakrama, but everything. It is so interesting. Sashvatantra na kalpasid yogakshemam mamechati ईशस्य हि वशे लोको योषाधारुमयी yatha. Here, Narada Muni informed Vyasadev that in his childhood, his mother wants to take care of him in all the opulent way, right? Even we think the same way for our own children. But here, Narada Muni said, but she was not independent. That means we are not independent in this world, right? We are under the full control of the Supreme Lord. That's what Prabhupada mentioned, full control of Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. We should be always think, whatever happens, anything happiness or distress, whatever happens, we should always immediately we have to think, Ishasya hi vashe loko yasha dharmayata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is taking care of everything. Everything is under the control, full control of him. We are just wooden dolls in his hands. So Krishna knows that if something happened, yes, it is because of Krishna. Of course, we should not blame Krishna. We should not whimsically say, but genuinely we should understand the hands of Krishna in each and everything. This is the point we missed. We haven't have this experience of seeing Krishna's hand in every second of our life. That is why we are doing all the offenses. Okay, after knowing this point, is it enough? No, because our mind always gives trouble. We are giving this information. Krishna knows everything. Be calm and quiet. Do devotional service. That is not alone enough. We have to conquer this mind. And in the Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 11th chapter, 17th shloka, our great Jadabharata instructs Rahugana Mannar, right? So it's so wonderfully he mentioned, our mind is unconquerable. But in the second of he says, O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. See, you all may ask, Prabhu, while doing service only we are facing this problem and doing this Maryada Vyatikrama offense, right? Yes, it will be there. In the beginning, it will be there. But if we continue our service to the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna, then obviously we will come out, right? Do this with great care. That is important. This you won't find in the Sanskrit verse because these are all additional points given by our beloved Srila Prabhupada. But we cannot say that it is a additional thing, but this is a very perfect. He stresses the importance of do this with great care. We have to be always cautious. That is what we have seen from the quote, right? One of the quote from Prabhupada. Just like the razor. While doing devotional service, we should be very careful. And when will I attain this? Will I carefully do service? Will I attain this state within 2 months, 6 months, 6 years, 600 years, or 6 janmas? Nobody knows. But one thing, Lord Kapiladev instructed Devahuti Mata, like in 3rd canto, 27th chapter, 21st, he said, one can get liberation by seriously discharging devotional service unto me and thereby hearing for a long time about me or from me. This is important. We should be hearing about Krishna from him or from the authorized personalities, like for a long time, because our mind is engaged in the material activities, so it will not give any spiritual things, it will give again material aspect only. So we have to associate. This is the point. You cannot do it alone, you have to associate with the devotee, but you should cross all these flaws by constantly associating and rendering service, even if you get same offenses, but just get forgiveness from the devotee Vaishnava and continue the devotional service along with all the Vaishnavas for a long time, then we will be liberated. Just he says, by thus executing one's prescribed duties, there will be no reaction. If we do our devotional service along with the prescribed duty for the satisfaction of Krishna and our Guru and Purvacharyas, Srila Prabhupada, right? Then we don't get the reaction. One will be freed from the contamination of matter. This is what Srila Prabhupada stressed in the purport, right? And another interesting factor, just I'm taking couple of minutes, sorry for taking this, please bear with me, we are going to finish this. But interesting points, how to develop these qualities, we can take it from the same devotees Uddhava and Maitreya. What can be taken? Uddhava, while talking to Vidura, he was saying that he was, how he was associated with Krishna, how he has been feeling that separation pain, right? In the same chapter what we are reading now, 3:4:17, he mentioned, see, I was so bewildered of Krishna's activities. What is that bewilderment? As if he was so bewildered, meaning Krishna, and he was thinking of how to destroy the Vrishni dynasty. Then he called me for consultation. How wonderful, right? He called me for consultation. That means Uddhava has some good qualities. That's why Krishna called him, right, for consultation. But Uddhava is very careful. We got so many situation. Our own beloved Gurudev called us for some services and asked for guidance, right? In one of the best example is Srila Prabhupada once consulted His Grace Harisauri Prabhu, one of the disciple. He has written Transcendental Diary, 7 volumes book is there. There, Srila Prabhupada once he gave some service to His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He is relieving from one service and assigning to some other service. But in the midnight, around 1 a.m., he called Harisauri Prabhu, who was a personal servant at that time, and he asked, "What do you think of assigning this service to Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj?" Then immediately Harisauri Prabhu told him, "Prabhupada, how can I say? How can I suggest? You are a great devotee, right? How can I suggest?" Immediately Prabhupada said, "No, no. Being a British, the brain, you may be meaning you are a better decision maker. Now you tell me." Then Harisauri Prabhu started sharing his points. Whatever you have assigned is very good for Tamal Krishna Maharaj, because he is not a small devotee. He needs a big place to do devotional service. He has such a potency. So he was explaining, but he was so cautious of his position as a servant of Srila Prabhupada. So he never done any mistake. Just by calling for consultation, he never took it for granted. So that is another way. And from Uddhava angle, in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto and 48th chapter, 4th shloka, we can see another wonderful etiquette of Uddhava. We have seen in the 3rd canto that Uddhava was called for consultation by Krishna. But here, Trivakra, right after killing Kamsa, Krishna was pleasing his devotees. So out of that Trivakra devotee, female devotee, he was trying to satisfy the devotee. So Krishna took Uddhava to her house, where Trivakra provided a wonderful seat to Krishna and Uddhava. But Uddhava knows his position. That's what he mentioned here. Uddhava also received a seat of honor, But being a saintly person, he knows. So for respect, right, to respect the Trivakra, he touched the seat, simply touched the seat, and immediately sat on the floor because he knows he is a servant of Krishna. He didn't take that, okay, Krishna called me for consultation, okay, I also sit on the same meaning same chair or different chair. But the thing is, he is very cautious. So that is the wonderful mood of Uddhava. That is why he doesn't have any enviousness of Maitreya, right? He gave wonderful thing, right? He directed Vidura to Maitreya. Not only age factor that is there, but Uddhava doesn't have enviousness, and he also felt Maitreya is the best person. Why? That is there in the same shloka, whatever we are reading now today, 3:4:26. What is that? Tattva samradhyah. That means one who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. This is so important. Srila Prabhupada, we have to read word to word meaning, because Srila Prabhupada gives one meaning in the word to word, another in the translation, but he has some depth knowledge. That's why Prabhupada always used to say, right, please give me time to write Bhagavatam. I have to meditate on that. What is that meditation? He has given worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He doesn't give hearing, right? He doesn't give the word hearing, the meaning hearing. Reception, as you all know, right? Reception. When we say the word reception, we always or immediately remembers marriage reception or the front office reception. Then what is the duty of the receptionist? In wherever the circumstances, the receptionist has to smilingly and willingly invite the visitors, and they have to humbly receive them, and they have to direct them to take, they have to do some service to the visitors without any hesitation, right? That is what quoted in 10:10:38 Prabhupada mentioned Shravanav, oral reception. Another place he has quoted oral reception. That means we have to hear the transcendental knowledge in an enthusiastic, smiling, and always in the receptive mood. That means attentive attention. So Uddhava praises Maitreya's quality, how he has heard the transcendental knowledge, right? When Uddhava and Maitreya was there with the Krishna at the final pastime of Krishna, then actually speaking, Maitreya was simply hearing, but his shoulders were bowed down and he was so attentive. How much attentive? He heard everything, everything. That much attentive. That is one of the quality for a preacher to be so attentive while hearing from his guru and Prabhupada, right? Otherwise, how can we preach to others? Right, it is not possible. So this oral reception means we have to welcome that knowledge, we have to open our ears. This is the first sense while we are getting in the womb, and this is the last sense working while leaving. So that is called oral. Oral means, you know, right? Aura, some energy over our body. Somebody used to chant some mantras and they will say about aura. They are also using this aura in the medication. But this aura is remembrance of whatever we have heard. So that is important quality for a devotee to become a devotee, meaning the listening capacity should be there. That is why he mentioned worshipped for reception. Maitreya should be worshipped. So we should be learning from Vidura and Maitreya that as a devotee, we have two roles. One is we are superior to instruct others while instructing others, and we are subordinate while hearing from others. So we have to be very careful while doing each role. So as as Uddhava, we have to be always depend on the Lord, that Krishna has full control. So whatever happens, that is not a problem at all, because Krishna has full controls. While instructing a devotee, we should concentrate for the pleasure of Krishna, not our own sake. So if we want, we have to direct that devotee to another senior devotee, just like Uddhava. And everything, the quality matters. These things should be developed or cultivated from the childhood. Then it is easy for each and every jiva to process the devotion service and attain the Lord. That is why 3:24:13 Bhagavatam says, from childhood, even from the spiritual master or from the father, one should obey the command of his father or the spiritual master with the due deference, saying, yes, sir. In the purport, Prabhupada says we should not argue with our elders. See, from our childhood, if we haven't developed this quality, how come all of a sudden, 30 years, 40 years after coming to Krishna consciousness, immediately we will become devotee just by obeying our spiritual masters? How come it will come? Because we have association with our three modes. We have to just come out of that. That means, of course, whoever comes now, they have to develop, but whoever have kids, they have to train in this way. The children must be obedient, right? Without argument, the subordinate should say yes to the spiritual master or to elders, fathers, or somebody, right? Without argument. And we should not think also, oh, this person doesn't have. Nowadays, we may see computerized world. Our parents illiterate, right? We may think, but we shouldn't think like that. They are not see, literate or illiterate, that doesn't mean. But what is important is value of life, the common factors, right? In old age, meaning in olden days, they may be envious of the person who has lot of cows or land, but now we are envious of the person who has cars and buildings. But the envious nature is there. That is common sense. So the elders will guide us from the common sense perspective. They may not know computer, they may not know this mobile, they may not know the ATM cards, but from the common sense perspective, they will guide us. We should be ready to follow. That is most important, right? So in this way, from the childhood, we have to learn these things. If we missed, we have to learn from here onwards. And Prabhupada finally ended the purport by saying we should not be a cheap spiritual master, but should be a proper one, meaning caring spiritual master. Caring in the sense, the best example is Narada Muni. How he has done it? Just by quoting this shloka, we can wind up. In Srimad Bhagavatam 1.6.26, it is talking about Narada Muni's quality. Namanyanantasya hatatra pappatan guhyani badrani kritani cha smaran गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागतस्पृहः कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः. Here, a preacher should be like this. How? Here, Narada Muni says, I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation. So, if we are a preacher or if we are doing any service, we should have only one thing, that is, like for the pleasure of the Lord, we have to glorify the name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation. That is our first and foremost activity. How to do it? Ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Whether this devotee respects me, whether this devotee thinks me as a senior devotee, no. So here, Narada Muni, this is the mood of a Vaishnava. Para dukkha dukhi, para sukha sukhi, right? This is the mood of the spiritual master. See, this is the mood for the preaching as well. Otherwise, what is the use of? Is it something like to showcase our knowledge to others? No, what is there? Even after showcasing, the person will not change his behavior because we haven't changed our behavior. So the entire Bhagavatam is for behavioral change. So we should be ready to ignore all the formalities and should glorify the Almighty Lord Krishna. Then our preaching would be efficient. That is why in the purport also, Srila Prabhupada mentioned very seriously chanting of the glories of the Lord and traveling all over the world so that others may also hear the glories of the Lord. This is the point for preaching, not for opening centers or making devotees. No, we should. Who are we to make devotees? We don't have that capacity. But here, by chanting the holy name, that makes others. Our duty is to please the Lord, and it's a duty of Lord to make others devotee. Such devotee have no desire for material gain. They are conducted by one single desire to back to Godhead. So this is the quality to become spiritual master or to act as a spiritual master. That is what Srila Prabhupada mentioned in this wonderful purport. And yes, we come to an end. Just we should become sage. Sage is simple, austere, grave, meaning sober and energetic, for the pleasure of Krishna, Prabhupada, and our own spiritual master. And these are all these are all some of the points may taken from Srila Prabhupada wonderful purport of 3426. With this, I'm closing this discussion, Prabhus and Mataji. Thank you so much for your time and association. And it is all because of Srila Prabhupada, because he has given everything in the word to word translation and great commentary. So if we dig and if we spend, if my Gurudev used to say, bury your head in the pages of Bhagavatam, right? If we do that, then we may get some glimpse of what Srila Prabhupada tried to convey, the meaning from the pages of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the literatures, right? So this will help us to mold our life by changing our behavior, and that changes in our life, meaning behavioral change, inspires others to take up Krishna consciousness. In this way, everybody will be benefited. So once again, thank you so much for all the assembled devotees. I'm really sorry for taking your time. I try to complete within the time, but I'm really sorry about it. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Please, devotees, please share us any comments, questions, or any objections. You are welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Thanda Pranam. It's really
Dandavad
wonderful
Pranam.
class, Prabhu. Super. You are explained very nicely, and it is practically you explained everything. Actually, it will be very much useful for me to advance. I can adopt these things for my spiritual advancement. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. And
Hare
any
Krishna.
questions? Any devotees? If you have questions, can you come forward?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare
This is
Krishna Mataji.
Kavirupa Radhika Devidasi. Kavirupa Radhika Devidasi.
Dandavad Pranam Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, really very wonderful session for us. Like it's mind blowing for us. Prabhuji, this PPT's first one small request before I ask the questions. This PPT slide can be shared for us, Prabhuji, if possible. Or 19th slide alone, it was very quick. I just want to take a photo of
No,
that slide.
I felt Mataji as if we are running out of time. I don't know about your situation there, so that's why I just skipped that slide. But 19
Okay.
being sage, just as a couple of points from my Gurudev's lecture, just I will read out quickly. Like one,
Yes.
how to develop some of the qualities to become a devotee, right? Carrying
Yes.
out our duty, avoiding criticism, leave the mental platform, don't make sadhana a ritual, never be lazy, be fair in devotional service, absorption in Krishna Katha, burning desire to preach, understanding that everything is flickering, everything is temporary. Maharaj has quoted one shloka, and that is just understanding except devotional service, rest are flickering, and devotional service is steady. So, this is the point mentioned in the 19th slide, Mataji.
Prabhuji, can you share the screenshot of that slide, Prabhuji? Possible? I'll just take that screenshot alone. If it is
Yeah,
okay for you.
no, nothing wrong, Mataji. Just give me a minute. Um, what is viewable, Mataji? Are you able to see something?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. I can able to view
19th.
it. Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, in the meantime, you were talking about for the children's, like how we should be we should be guide them, and in the materialistic world they are very much attracted to that computerized world. They are very much attracted. What would be the advice, Prabhuji? Because this during the young age, children are not getting attracted to that our spirituality and our Krishna consciousness. More than that, they are attracted to these gadgets and mobile and all. So any advice for the, because we are not expecting, yes, we do understand that the children's mind are like that, they wanted to be, but anything, either we should be compromised and saying leave it, when they will understand. But as a parents, we are so concerned, like, okay, we have born and we have lived like this till we get matured and understand about the glories of the Krishnas and Krishna consciousness. I don't want to make the same mistakes to my children, but the environment of the friends, the environment of their friends association was so strong that Maya is very strong. So they are very, very, very get attracted and attached to that. Any simple advice, or I just want to understand, either parents should leave it and we'll think, okay, they will come on their own time, or we can take some steps or something we can do. Just 2-3 points, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So this question gives another aspect, the full of anxiety of the mind, isn't it, Mataji? Not only for you, for everybody, right? So
Yes.
Maharaj answered to this question like, if you want your child or children to be in Krishna consciousness, then those parents should execute devotional service very seriously. Why? Because the children never hear. Their learning is not through ears but through eyes, right? They are looking at you, Mataji. Not only you, in the Grahastha ashrama, the children are looking at the parents. If parents are fighting each other for any problem, then immediately they are taking that attitude. If the parents are going to Krishna for solving a problem, then those children will see that and they will also go to Krishna for any problem. And meanwhile, we should also understand one thing. Now we are in Krishna consciousness. Don't we cross that deviations of Prabhus and Matajis? In our teenage,
Yes.
in our main
Yes,
peak
yes.
time, we were. But
Yes, yes.
this point, that's where we have seen in throughout the lecture, like we, even though we are saying Krishna conscious devotees, but we have less faith on Krishna. Isasya hi vashe loko yasha dharmayata. As a parent, I should engage in the devotional service in such a way that my child or children have to see. Obviously, our Sri Ranga Prabhu's home, we could see Srila Prabhupada's photo behind him, right? Obviously, we will have some photos. Then, during all the possible times, we can share the knowledge of Krishna in such a way according to the children age. But no need to force. Why? But all the children in their teenage, even though if they deviate from our perspective, it is a deviation, but it is not a deviation. That is the purpose of that jiva's birth. They have to cross over the karma, right? They cannot. But what we are giving is Krishna consciousness slap. This slap is like a patting on the back, right? So the children, we are giving, providing the story or drama, whatever the way. Even they are attracted to this material world. Don't worry, Prabhus and Matajis. Krishna remembers. Krishna remembers each and every activity of the individual jiva. The children may do some services while coming to the peak time, they may not, but they will come back. But because we are the examples, we are here. Same way the children will be there. We should have such a faith. In 3:29:16 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada mentioned every devotee, he mentioned a quote, Krishna will certainly accept me because I am doing devotional service according to the rules and regulations. So we should teach them, but we should give the space to do the devotional service on their own. We have to, meaning we should give some encouragement. We may not force them. Nobody will come by force. So please provide all the knowledge, whatever you learned, but don't expect. The anxiety of the mind shows that it is because of the expectation. Expectation never meets. But if we do our duty and rest, depend on the Lord, then Lord will take care of each and every individual jiva. See, Mataji is taking care of all the jivas, not only human being, but because this jiva is connected with us as a relationship, child, parent, immediately we are thinking that we are the meaning caretaker or protector. Of course, we are protecting as a parent, we are doing, but we are not the ultimate protector. Krishna is the ultimate protector. He will take care of that. We should have that faith and we should preach without expectation. If you preach, first of all, you will be satisfied because Krishna will be satisfied. If Krishna satisfied, why not only these children, the previous ancestors and following ancestors, everybody will be liberated, right, Mataji? Hope it answers your question.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, rightly you had mentioned, Prabhuji. Without expectation, we will try our level best. And the second point is we should not force anybody. They have to come on their own. So these are the very key points. So
Yes.
it's really help for us, Prabhuji. Because the
Yes.
moment we have, like, we want our children to, that is expectation only. And we have followed by that, we are having anxieties. So
Yes.
I think we should give up this expectation, leave it to Krishna, and we will try. We will keep doing what we have to do as a parent.
Yeah, as a parent, we have to teach them.
Yes.
That is there. Wherever we have to show our meaning the real slap, we have to, because to make them, but without expectation. We have to do our duty and leave it to Krishna for the rest.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so much.
Any more questions?
So sorry once again, I took some of your time, and thank you so much for your wonderful association, Gauranga Desh.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very
Hare
much
Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
for your wonderful lecture.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
And it given in our mind how we have to respect all Vaishnavas. Very nice class. Maryada.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's all Gurudev's and Srila Prabhupada mercy.
Thank you.
And I also beg all the Vaishnava devotees of forgiveness if in any way I hurt or mentioned anything wrongly, because you're all exalted devotees in this group. Really, I'm younger than you all. So please forgive me for my offenses.
Any more questions? If you have any doubts or something, please raise your hand and ask. It will be very much appreciated. Already it is too late for Prabhu. Already 8:40. Okay, I don't think so. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for engaging me in the service. Thank you.
Very wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
Hrishikesha Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Hari Bol.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Prabhu.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna. Now we will have the Sandhyarthi. Request Bhagwan Govinda Prabhu and Madan Mohan Prabhu.
Prabhu Hare Krishna, I am in Satyaji Prabhu's line.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, we are ready.
Okay, Prabhu, please start.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Shiva Jaya, Jaya Gaura Chande, Arati ke Sobha. Shiva Jaya, Jaya Gaura Chande, Arati ke Sobha. Janagita Javani Jagamanaloba Janagita Javani Jagamanaloba Tajine Nitai Bame Gadadara Jagine Nitana Bame Gadadara Ikare Advaita Shini Vasa Chatradara Nikati Advaita Shini Vasa Chatradara Osiya Chegora Chan Ratna Simhasani Osiya Chegora Chan Ratna Simhasani Arati Karina Brahma Adi Devagane Arati Kurena Brahma Adi Devagane Nara Hari Hati Puri Tamara Dulaya Hari Hati Puri Chamarulaya Sanjaya Mahanda Pasya Gosaligaya Sanjaya Mahanda Pasya Gosaligaya Sanga Bhaje Ganda Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Sanga Bhaje Ganda Bhaje Bhaje Karatala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Madhura Mridanga Bhaje Paramarasala Prabhu Kori Chandra Dini Adana Ujawala Prabhu Kori Chandra Dini Adana Ujawala Ala Dite Bana Mala Kore Jalamala Jala Dite Bana Mala Kore Jalamala Shiva आर्थिक शोभां जय जनमान लोभां गौरांगीरा आर्थिक शोभां जय जनमान लोभां गौरांगे 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 आर्थिक शोभां जय जनमान लोभां नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रसाय बोधले श्रीमदे भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रसाय बोधले श्रीमदे भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी वासतदेशधारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी वासतदेशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परिवराचार्य सोसस्वत गुरु महाराज की जय। जय ओम नित्य लीला परिवराचार्य सोसस्वत अभय चंद्र भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। विष्णुआचार्य श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम परिवराचार्य सोसस्वत भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य ठाकुर की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोविनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, मधुरा धाम की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, मायापुर धाम की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की जय, सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्रा की जय, हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, all glorious assembled devotees, Hare Krishna, 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 all glorious to Guru and Gauranga, all glorious to Prabhupada, Jai Sri Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj ki Jai.
Okay, Krishna Adarsh, we can start. Using Garthi.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Adarsh and Akshaya, for your wonderful kirtan. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining with us today. So, thank you so much. And I request all the devotees, please join with